Thankful Thursday, everyone. Welcome to Navigating Personal Finances during COVID-19 Facebook Live. I hope everyone is having a great week. Please click the share button to invite others to join us. And also leave us a comment about topics that you would like to hear more about. We're interested in what is important to you. And like us on Facebook and Instagram so that you don't miss any content or events that could enrich your life and relationships. So good evening. I am Mieko Paige with Live the Life, where we help to strengthen marriages and families. And I am delighted to have Mr. Lawrence Thomas from Thrivent Fiancial with us tonight to discuss navigating finances during COVID-19. Welcome, Lawrence.
Hi, how you doing?
I am great. Now, let me tell you a little bit about Lawrence. He is a financial associate with Thrivent Fiancial. He has a master's degree in business, and he holds multiple financial licenses. He has 4 years in the financial industry and over 20 years in business management. Lawrence is a proud husband and father of 4 and is active in the Clay County Chamber of Commerce. So Lawrence, tell us a little bit more about Thrivent.
Well, thank you, Mika. I appreciate the introduction. Thrivent is a diversified financial organization that helps people achieve financial clarity, thereby enabling to live lives full of meaning and gratitude. It's a mission-driven, membership-owned organization that offers its more than 2 million members and customers a broad range of financial products, services, and guidance.
Now, I think I read somewhere that you all are listed among like the Fortune 500 for nonprofits. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am. We are on the Fortune 500, right between Campbell's Soup and Home Depot.
Wow, that's impressive. That's impressive. Okay, well, let's jump in and answer some questions that may be on the hearts and minds of some of our viewers. During this time, what do I need to be thinking about or making an adjustment for if I've lost my job? Okay, so.
All right, well, first of all, stay calm, don't freak out.
Yes, that is important.
Now, obviously, one of the things you're going to want to do is kind of start thinking about, okay, ways that you can kind of cut back on your expenses. For example, take a look at your variable versus your discretionary costs that you have coming in, because you're going to want to start to develop a budget based on any income you actually do have coming in. One thing you can do is if you've got credit cards or you've got loans, get in contact with those people, those businesses. A lot of them, especially these days, have different provisions set up so that, because you're not the only person in this situation, there's a lot of people in this situation. So there's a lot of these lenders actually have different programs to kind of, if not do a forbearance or something to that effect, they have programs set in place to kind of help out.
So I shouldn't be hesitant to reach out, but proactive.
Yes, ma'am, most certainly. And the worst thing you can do is nothing. Because
Okay.
if you don't reach out and you don't do nothing, that's when you start to really kind of get into trouble. If nothing else, most places, most states and local cities have their own programs that are actually in use, that they've put into use for this specific sort of situation. So kind of reach out to your local, if you're nearest, whatever the nearest city is, reach out to their, for instance, the city of Jacksonville, reach out to the city of Jacksonville online to see what sort of resources they have. And the state of Florida has some as well. So.
Oh, okay. Okay. Now, what about my 401k? You know, if I have a 401k, can I borrow money from it and put it back? What are my options there?
Honestly, it kind of depends on the specific 401k with your business. It depends on how it was set up. Some can, yes, under certain circumstances. some you can't. It really kind of depends on the 401k that was set up with your business. The way to find out is trying to contact someone with your HR department or with your benefits department to find out if that's an option there. Now, when doing that, you might also want to consult with a financial advisor to see if that's something that may be in your best interest. Because there are potential, first of all, you're going to get taxed on anything you pull out, especially if you're under 59 and a half.
Okay.
Now, there are certain provisions right now that have been put in place where for a certain amount of time, you won't get hit with that extra 10% penalty if you're under 59 and a half for a certain amount of time. Again, depending on your specific situation and the need for it, consult with a financial advisor or a financial professional to see if it's something that would actually benefit you as opposed to potentially harming you down the line.
Okay. Now, $1 million question. What do you advise we do with these stimulus checks? You know, some of us have received stimulus checks. Others are maybe anticipating receiving their stimulus check. What would be, in your opinion, the best use of those funds?
Well, first of all, the stimulus check is basically kind of a boost to kind of help you through, not being able to go to work or the extra money you're spending with groceries, with having the kids home and stuff like that. First of all, use it for what you need. Now, if it's something that, if you've done like your financial professional suggested you do, and you have that 3 to 6 months worth of bills already set aside, and you don't necessarily need that stimulus check, what you could do is any money you've pulled out of your emergency fund, replenish it with the money you got from the stimulus check. Another thing you could do is use that money to go towards your long-term financial strategy, whatever that may be.
Yes.
And thirdly, if you really just don't need this money and you're feeling generous, help out a neighbor that's in need.
Oh, wow.
Find someone that's not as well off as you are, and do what you can to kind of help them. Or if you're not willing to be quite so personal with that, seek out one of the organizations in your area that's actually doing that or helping out your neighbors in the area, and donate to them, either time or money as well.
Okay, that's powerful. Yes, that's good. When we were talking about this segment, you mentioned the B word. And that would be budget. That word can strike the fear in a lot of individuals, Lawrence. So talk to us about, is a budget necessary? How can, it be maybe less scary? Share a little bit about that with us, please.
Right. Well, budgeting is not necessarily a bad word, but it's gotten a bad rap.
Yeah, I agree.
If you prefer, rather than call it budgeting, call it balanced spending.
Oh, I like that.
Which basically means you don't spend more than you bring in. So one thing.
Did you say that again, Lawrence? That's good. For now and forevermore.
Yes, ma'am. Balanced spending is you do not spend more money than you bring in. This way you have a nice balance.
Yes.
Now with balanced spending, one way to kind of, especially with the environment we're in right at the moment, one thing you can do that my wife and I have done is start planning out your meals rather than just kind of figure out what you're going to do from day to day. Plan out a week of meals, and before you go grocery shopping, and put together a list of all the items you're going to need to purchase for those meals specifically, and that's your grocery list. You don't buy anything extraneous. Of course, you're going to get some snacks. You're going to get a little bit of this, but you don't buy anything just kind of, well, that looks good, I'm going to buy that. Stick to the meal plan as best you can, and you'll be amazed at how much money you save just simply by doing that.
That is powerful. And try not to go to the grocery store hungry.
Oh, definitely.
You find that there are extra things in your basket that maybe you wouldn't have purchased otherwise, but you got the munchies.
Right. And your snacks too when you're going to grocery shopping. You're going to plan to get this snack and not this, and this. It just kind of happen looks just so happens to look good as you're going up to the register.
That's really good because we are a family of five, and for years, I have always planned the meals for the week. So I go to the grocery store on a mission and I identify what I'm going to cook. And now that doesn't mean I don't find myself in the grocery store, picking up an item or two, but it really has helped us control our spending and how much we spend at the grocery store because I'm intentional about it. Could you also share with individuals any impact you notice between maybe the difference in using cash versus even a debit card? And right now I know a lot of businesses would prefer that you use a debit card versus cash, but maybe beyond this, do you find there any behavioral differences between handing over that paper versus the plastic, even if it's a debit card?
Oh yeah, definitely. And it's more of a psychological thing. When you have cash in hand, you're literally giving something away. Whereas when you swipe on the card, you don't really see it. You know mentally that you've just spent money, but you don't actually see the money that's being taken out of your account. And that's where most people are much more willing to, they'll run the credit card or the debit card a couple of different times, and they won't really kind of feel that pinch until they go back and look at their account. And
Yes.
honestly, there's a lot of people that don't really bother looking at their account because they don't want to feel that pinch that they normally would if they were using cash. So if you have the cash, it's generally advised use cash simply because it helps keep you on your budget a lot better than it does with the card. I mean, again, the card is a lot more convenient, but the card's a lot more convenient, and you'll generally use it a lot more because you don't see it as a loss. It's just
Right.
a transaction.
Correct. And I have experienced that as well. There is this psychological component to that and how it feeds into our relationship with money. And you will pause for a few more seconds spending $100 bill versus just swiping it, Okay, so let's talk about investments. How concerned should we be about our retirement accounts, our IRAs, our 401ks, especially considering the downturn in the market? What advice would you give us, and how do our personal feelings come into play? We talk personal finance is personal, and a large percentage of it is really the relational part versus the head knowledge part. So talk to us about our investments.
Well, right at the moment, everybody's for the most part relatively down. There are certain areas in the market that's actually doing really well. Obviously, healthcare, your electronics and stuff like that is doing really well. However,
Yes.
The markets fluctuate all the time, and I'm sure everyone's heard the adage that the stock market's like gambling. Not quite. It has its cycles, but it does fluctuate quite often. The markets will always go up and they will always go down, and no one really knows exactly when either is going to happen.
Okay.
What you need to do is keep your eyes focused on your long-term goals, specifically for like 401ks or IRAs and stuff like that, because those are not short-term vehicles. Those are not short-term goals you're after setting yourself up for retirement for later, 10, 20, 30, 40 years down the road for when you retire. There's a lot of time to recover from this little blip that we've gone through here. One thing you can look at the way that the market is down right now is that stocks, bonds, mutual funds, ETFs, everything's on sale right now.
Oh,
it's kind of like
you said sale. You caught my attention, Lawrence, because I like buying things on sale. I don't like paying full price. So how does that relate to the American economy?
Well, the way it works is with all the investment products being on sale is you can purchase a lot more for less money. It'd be essentially kind of like having an 80% off sale at Macy's. You can buy the really good, expensive stuff very, very cheap.
Okay.
Now, what'll happen, even though the market's down right now, at some point in time, it's going to go back up. So let's say that you bought 5 shares of Apple at $20 a pop.
Right.
Well, within the next 2 or 3 years, let's say Apple goes up to 100 or 150 per share. So that means you just made a whole lot of money for just a little bit of money, and all you did was just buy those few shares from Apple, so to as an example.
Yes.
And that's where doing something even as basic as what they call dollar cost averaging, which is paying a set amount in every single month into some kind of investment. Right at the moment, with the way the market is, putting something into any kind of investment will help at some point. And I give it may take a little while for this to kind of come back.
Right.
They're saying anywhere from probably a year or two for it to really kind of get back to where it was. But historically, the market has always come back up.
Yes.
That's, given. Just because it's happened historically doesn't necessarily mean that it absolutely will, but history, you can kind of draw your own conclusion there.
Yeah.
That the market, once everybody figures out what we're going to be doing, the market will most likely end up coming back up and can come back a lot stronger than it was before. There's no real way to kind of figure specifically how that's going to work.
Okay.
But investing, yes, keep investing. And if you have some money on the sidelines and you can pop an extra, you can open up a little $50 a month IRA or Roth IRA. I don't see any reason why you wouldn't.
Okay.
A lot of reasons why you should.
Okay. How does a partnership or working with you work? What would that look like if someone wanted to, contact you to ask you more questions, have an initial meeting?
Right. Well, if you're looking for some help with a financial strategy or just want to kind of discuss a little bit more of this in detail, or you want to start, making a little bit more progress or developing a plan for your long-term goals, I'm obviously happy to meet with you. You can email me at lawrence.thompson@thrivent.com. You can look me up on Facebook, Lawrence Thompson MBA, or you can call my office number at 904-559-8184.
Okay.
I'm also on LinkedIn at Lawrence Thompson MBA as well. So
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Lawrence. This was good, valuable information. And we hope that everyone took away a nugget or two. And please feel free to reach out to Lawrence. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, what are the essential elements of a great relationship? Just like baking, you need the right ingredients, and the same holds true for great, healthy relationships. So join me right back here Tuesday night at 8 o'clock for our next Facebook Live, where I will be talking about what makes a healthy us. You can contact us as well for a free marriage assessment. In the meantime, be safe and love well. Good night.
have a good night.